Good morning, everyone, and welcome to FPC Radio Live. That's right, it's Wednesday. I'm Ian Glendon, and we got a little bit of news to talk about to start things off today. That's right, if you're just waking up and just checking Twitter and checking out the latest NFL news and transaction wire, see that the New England Patriots, yes, those New England Patriots have released former All-Pro cornerback Stephon Gilmore. The two have been trying to work towards a deal to bring the cornerback back to satisfy the cornerback, but it does not seem to be happening for the two. And now Stephon Gilmore is a free agent. So we're going to talk about that. And to do so, yes, if you're looking on the screen, you can see that John Sapacek is on the phone. John, good morning. And do you think that you would be in as much demand as Stephon Gilmore if you were a free agent cornerback? Yeah, I mean, look, I'm right there with you. Like, you cannot. I mean, you shouldn't be surprised by anything Bill Belichick does, but at the same time, he still manages to surprise you. And in this case, that's sort of what I will. I mean, I was already up, but to see the alert on the phone come up say, "Hey, the Patriots released Stephon Gilmore," I was shocked, and then I reverted back to my 20 plus years of watching this team and watching how it operates. And I'm like, well, it shouldn't surprise anyone. And, look, this is a guy who, obviously the two sides were working towards trying to come to some sort of agreement to a contract. They couldn't do that. And on top of that, Gilmore has been out on the pup list with a quad injury, which reportedly he is getting healthy. Like, I don't, like, as far as I'm concerned, or not me, but like as far as I know, um, any sort of setback with the injury, I wasn't aware of. You know what I mean? Like we weren't hearing, as far as we know, like he was trending towards being healthy. Obviously, being on the pup list, you have to be out for the first 6 weeks. So regardless of if he's 95% or 65%, he wasn't going to be able to play this week, next week, last week, whatever. But as far as I know, he's trending towards being healthy. Now, he hasn't played in a game since week 16 of last year for the Patriots. So, again, it's been a while since he's been on the football field. But assuming he's healthy, I mean, there's going to be there should be a long, long, long line out the door waiting to try to woo him to come over if you're a contender. I mean, that's the thing. It's like he's your best cornerback on, I would say, a majority of these contenders if they decide they want to sign him. Might be their only cornerback. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, look, I think that's the obvious route for both parties involved. Like I don't think I think if Stephon Gilmore goes out there expecting to sign another 4 or 5 year deal, I think he's greatly overvaluing himself. Not necessarily because of his play, but like you said, I mean, we assume he's going to be healthy. But at 31 years old, I mean, you got to take into account, how and when these players, especially cornerbacks, tend to drop off. Remember when Nnamdi Asamoah was the greatest cornerback ever, and then and then it just like overnight it became the exact opposite. And I'm not saying that's going to happen with Stephon Gilmore. We've seen guys, Charles Woodson, obviously make the move to safety and extend his career. Darrell Revis, aside from maybe his last season, but even Darrell Revis was around the same age that Stephon Gilmore is now when he retired and left. So, there is some risk involved, but I got to imagine that both Stephon and, whatever team, especially contenders, that would be interested in signing him are only looking for that 1 year deal. And I think it works for both because, again, the Bucks, that's the biggest obstacle for the Bucks is the money. Okay. Well, how are they going to afford this? Well, you can get a little creative with the salary cap. And, this is a player that, again, I think you make exceptions and make moves to try to accommodate him if you can, because again, he comes in, and especially a team like the Bucks who are just, I mean, they were starting Richard Sherman the other day, and he had been practicing for 3 days. Like that's how desperate they are at corner. But even if they had a healthy group, Stephon Gilmore comes in and he's your best cornerback again, assuming he's healthy. Like, I mean, it's one of those really rare situations where you have, again, a guy who was a Pro Bowler last year. He was an All Pro in 2018 and 2019 become available, and you have several teams that are in position to go to a Super Bowl or contend for a Super Bowl that have issues in the secondary. So what Stephon Gilmore is reportedly looking for, which is around 15 million a year, he might end up getting because of the market. Like there's going to be no shortage of interest in Stephon Gilmore, even if it's a perceived risk to sign him for this season. I think teams are willing to take that risk on a guy that could drastically change their defense. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and they won't have one for like 3 years too, 3 or 4 years. Hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say he's like speed dial under poison control. That's how high up he is. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and look, I mean, I'm uncertain as to why, there wasn't an ability to trade him. Now, again, I'm not, people maybe immediately go to, criticizing Bill Belichick, but at the end of the day, it's they. I know they needed cap space. I think they were really, really up against it, and this obviously creates immediate amount of cap space for them. And again, this could precipitate another move. Perhaps they're looking at bolstering another area of the defense because at the end of the day, as much as it'd be nice to have Stephon Gilmore out there. The Patriots defense held their own against Tom Brady and the Bucks fairly well, and whether that's a bit of a mirage and maybe that's the best it's going to be, so be it. But at the end of the day, I think maybe this was could be a situation where both parties realized that they just weren't getting anywhere, and you know what? Maybe Bill just threw him a bone. You know what I mean? Like maybe he's just like, look, we're obviously not going to come to a situation like he's a realist. He's not, he's not going to sit there and, overvalue his hand or really, stick into something when he realized, when it's a losing cause. So maybe you're just like, look, we need the cap space, let Stefan go play. And you know what? We had a great 4-year run together, went to 2 Super Bowls. He won 2 All-Pros. And, this all started with people bitching and moaning about throwing him a contract, and now look at it. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's quite it's quite a reversal of when this all came together. The people complaining like, "Wow, I can't believe they gave him that much money." Well, guess what? Now you're complaining that they're cutting him, and so be it. The Patriots are going to have to move on. Stephon Gilmore wasn't going to be here for 4 or 5 more years, and you know what? Sometimes ripping the band-aid off and just moving on is the best option. So, um, oh sure, sure, yeah. Well, you also, yeah, yep. Yeah, and look, I mean, I think that's one of the storylines that kind of got lost a lot in this past weekend's game is that the Patriots, for what it's worth, held that Buccaneers offense in check, relative to what, they were doing to that point. You know what I mean? Because Tom was obviously averaging close to 400 yards passing a game, and he was held to under 300. And the offense, did move the ball at times, but the secondary did play well. Now, again, you add Stephon Gilmore to the mix, you're an elite secondary. Right now, you're a pretty good one with what seems like a lot of potential. And again, that does include having guys like Jalen Mills who seem to be exceeding expectations just a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's an interesting thing. Again, it shouldn't shock you. And generally, and I know obviously Bill Belichick's gonna get a lot of criticism, but all those moves that you pointed out, all these like surprise cuts or trades or whatever, I think Bill Belichick won every single one of them, if I'm not mistaken. Like they cut Lord, yeah, which worked out fine. Yeah, Well, and literally, yeah. Oh, he was phenomenal. And if you remember correctly, Bill Belichick got a lot of criticism for that. So that just kind of points out how silly it is to sit there and complain about Belichick drafting. He did, and again, I don't remember the exact scenario or situation at the time, but I can't imagine that the Patriots are able to go out and get uh 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 Darrell Revis with the money that they had to pay. Which again, you don't get Darrell Revis, you probably don't win the Super Bowl that year because that's how important he was. So that situation, Lawyer Malloy, they obviously already had Rodney Harrison. Obviously, that very first game, it looked like it was a disaster, but by the end of the year, no one remembered, and now it's just the footnote in the when you tell the story of the Patriots dynasty. So, look, as much as it's like, and same with Randy Moss. I mean, boy, did Randy Moss fall off quickly after he left the Patriots. I mean, it was just, I mean, the stint with the Titans or the Vikings, and then the Titans, it was just awful. So, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that Bill Belichick made the right move, even though it looks right now like, wow, what are you thinking? And the reaction is surprise and shock, and like, again, this is this kind of brings into question our conversation from yesterday, where it's like, you know, this information doesn't get out. Like, just looking at the reaction from those that are most connected, there was still a level of surprise when it came to this. You know what I'm saying? So the idea that, and real quick, I'll throw it out there. The idea that this one guy, Seth Wickersham, was able to get inside information about the inner workings of Belichick's mind is just even more ridiculous. But that conversation's over. We're talking about Stephon Gilmore. I had to throw it out there, John. Um, well, it looks like well, it doesn't look. Not really. I mean, because like the Patriots and the Bucks aren't the same team. I mean, the Patriots aren't the well, yeah, but see, that shouldn't be. Not really. It's only a horrible look if you're looking for it to be a horrible look. Like players move on. Players move on all the time. So, oh sure, sure. Eh, not really because it doesn't change the future for the Patriots. Like well, if I mean, we don't know. They're 1-3, right? They're 1-3. They're 1-3 right now. Which, again, we talked about this yesterday. I mean, I think they're a really good 1-3 team. I think their record isn't quite indicative of what they are, although I think they deserve it because of the mistakes that they made. And so, in that sense, I think that stuff can get cleaned up, and I think this team is going to be pretty good. But I mean, this connection, like, so if he goes to Tampa, he goes to Tampa. I mean, it's just one of many teams he could sign with. The presence of Brady there doesn't really make a difference. In fact, Brady's presence there probably heightens the likelihood that he does go to Tampa. So again, I don't think this looks bad on the Patriots. Again, it's just roster moves. Like we talked to in quite a bit of length about the reasons why Tom Brady left. Again, if we had the power of foresight and being able to predict the future, Tom Brady likely still be a Patriot now because Bill would have known his ability, I think, at 44, which again, he bet on Tom being just like every single other quarterback in the 100-year history of the NFL. And he was wrong, which is fine. It happens. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, what is Verdugo doing? I mean, I don't. I mean, if that happens, it happens. Mookie. That's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing. Mookie. We all know Mookie Betts is a great player, so he's certainly capable of doing that. If it look, I criticized that move when it happened. I've slowly started to change my tune on it because again, I mean, I think I reacted to the name. Yeah, it sucks to lose that type of talent, but the Red Sox could have something with these guys in that they got back for him. So am I going to sit there and condemn it right away? Maybe in my emotional reaction to it. Yeah, of course I did. I think I railed on it quite a bit actually, but regardless of what Mookie Betts does, I mean, it doesn't matter. He's a Dodger. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they happen, look, if the Red Sox make it a Game 7 in the World Series against the Dodgers, that's all I'll care about. I mean, if they end up losing, they lose. I mean, I'll be disappointed, but yeah, of course, yeah, that's yeah. Where's the fun in that? Where's the fun in that? Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, if anything, this is the best time of the year, obviously, for baseball because, I mean, last night's. I mean, depending on your perspective, last night's game was certainly entertaining and had some drama to it, at least early on. But um, it's I don't know that look. I'm all for it. I have admittedly not been able to watch as much baseball as I used to. I mean, I was kind of like you, where I was like, I mean, every day. I mean, it was always TV. It was always Red Sox pregame. It was always this. It was always that. Now it's a little bit more sparingly, but watching playoff baseball kind of brings you right back into that where it was the most heightened intensity, and obviously that certainly helps when you have teams like the Red Sox and Yankees who correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't the Yankees choose, prior to knowing their opponent, choose to go to the Red Sox? Yeah, yeah. Oh, sure. I just like that added layer. hmm Yeah, exactly. Oh, sure. Hey, I like it. I like it. I'm not going to complain. hmm hmm Oh, for sure. Oh, kinda, kinda. That's yeah. Mhm. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, he got a lot of slack. 90s, early, certainly early 2000s. But yeah, yeah, I think the biggest thing, kind of like you keyed on, was the outsiderness. And look, I mean, the ownership, Red Sox ownership, has done some kind of tone deaf things before. Like I remember, and I always found this comical, the whole brick thing, where it's like, buy a brick and put your name, and it's like, and to me, it makes it look like trying to squeeze every single dollar out of people, on top of all the, how much it costs just to go to a game, on top of like all that stuff. And then the next page, you turn it and you see John Henry's super yacht that's like $600 million and all that stuff. So there's that disconnect, because like you look at Robert Kraft, and he's Mr. Kraft, to everyone. And he's at the stadium, he's personable with the players, he's up there. You don't get that with John Henry, you don't get that with Jeremy Jacobs, for sure. um so yeah, it's I get it, I understand it. I do think it's a little over the top, but at the same time, I do understand it. But for the second day in a row, John, we were unable to do our quarterback power rankings. It's okay, it's called suspense building, and that's what we're doing. So tomorrow, Thursday, we will do that, because then we also have to preview Thursday night football. So until then, I hope you guys have a great Wednesday. Hopefully Stephon Gilmore does not sign yet. Got to get some more content out, and then tomorrow we will preview all of week five's action. So have a great day, folks, and we'll talk to you then.